His readings unlocked secrets from the past and predicted our future.
Edgar Cayce, born in 1877, had a childhood different from most children, as he dedicated much of his time to studying the Bible, always seeking answers in its ancient texts. At the age of 11, he had a vision in which a woman appeared before him, asking what he desired most in life. Edgar's response was surprising. He wanted the ability to help others, especially sick children. This moment was decisive and marked the beginning of his journey into prophecies. During his life, Edgar made many prophecies about the fate of the world, and many of them are being fulfilled now. Everything changed after a sleep. Edgar suffered a severe accident at school, seriously injuring his back to the point where he could not move. His family was terrified by the situation. One night, while half asleep, Edgar spoke out loud about a recipe for a medicine made from herbs. Desperate to help him, his parents decided to try the recipe. To everyone's surprise, Edgar fully recovered the next day, as if he had never been injured. These events were the first signs of Edgar's unusual abilities, which would later reveal themselves in impressive ways. Edgar Cayce became known for making predictions about world events, including the start and end of both world wars, the end of the Great Depression, and the deaths of 2 U.S. presidents. He also foresaw China's rise as a global economic power. To this day, many wonder whether Edgar Cayce was truly a prophet. Motivated by his desire to help others and his newfound confidence in his abilities, Edgar began offering psychic readings. Unlike other prophets of his time, Edgar's predictions were not limited to a single type of prophecy. He addressed a wide range of topics, from health and wellness to spirituality, past lives, ancient civilizations, future technologies, and more. The accomplishments of the sleeping prophet seemed boundless. In 1902, a young girl with a severe head injury was brought to him. Doctors believed she would not survive, but Cayce indicated that the real problem was in her spine, not her brain. He suggested that the doctors adjust her spine. Edgar could read the human body as if it were an X-ray machine, using medical terminology with astonishing precision. Within a few months, the girl showed remarkable improvement. It didn't stop there. Edgar also used his gifts for economic purposes. In 1929, knowing that the stock market was about to crash, he warned his friends to sell their shares. Those who followed his advice managed to save a significant amount of money. At times, people asked Edgar Cayce who would win a horse race or what would happen in the stock market. His extraordinary abilities spanned numerous fields, cementing his legacy as one of history's most enigmatic figures. Edgar Cayce spoke about the existence of ruins of an ancient civilization beneath the ocean near Bimini in the Bahamas. In 1938, he suggested that the city was Atlantis, a super-advanced city from history. Cayce described Atlantis as a massive continent in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Curiously, in 1968, underwater structures were discovered in Bimini, which some researchers believe may support Cayce's prophecies. He added that Atlantis was a vast civilization with technology more advanced than ours, but that it disappeared under the ocean around 10,000 years ago due to a great flood. Could this flood be the one recorded in the Bible during Noah's time? And this is what he predicted for this year. Earth changes. He foresaw that a significant war would erupt in the heart of Europe, and indeed Germany initiated World War II, which led to Hitler's downfall. He correctly predicted that Germany, Austria, and Japan would form an alliance. In the 1930s and 1940s, Cayce made many prophecies of cataclysmic events involving the whole planet, with a series of Earth changes occurring very soon. He predicted that the polar axis would shift and that many areas that are now land would again become ocean floor, and that Atlantis would rise from the sea. The phrase, Earth changes, was coined by the American psychic Edgar Cayce in the 1930s in reference to his belief that the world would soon enter a series of cataclysmic events, causing major alterations in human life on the planet. This includes natural events such as major earthquakes, the melting of the polar ice caps, a pole shift of the planetary axis, major weather events, solar flares, and so on, as well as huge changes in the local and global social, economic, and political systems. Edgar Cayce made impressive predictions about changes in the Earth's geography. He claimed that the continents would shift and the climate would change the world in unimaginable ways. He suggested that this transformation could happen suddenly with the eruptions of Mount Etna in Italy and Mount Pelée in Martinique. Both are active volcanoes, with Etna being one of the most active in the world, having erupted recently, while Pelée had its last major eruption in 1902. One of the most critical aspects of this change would occur in Africa. Cayce predicted that the continent would split into 3 parts due to the formation of a massive new waterway, with the Nile River widening and the Red Sea expanding significantly. This dramatic change could even submerge the bustling city of Cairo under the sea. Asia would not escape these convulsions either. Cayce predicted changes in the geography of India, China, Japan, Korea, and the Philippines. He stated that the Pacific Ocean would advance and swallow large portions of land from the Philippines to Japan, leaving only a few remaining islands. The Korean peninsula and parts of China's coastline would also succumb to the rising seas. For India, Cayce issued a specific warning. He advised seeking refuge in the country's higher elevations due to the potential collapse of land. He believed that the Himalayas in Tibet and Nepal would offer safer refuge for Indians. Cayce also made less favorable predictions for Antarctica. He suggested that as the ice melted, the geological structure of the region would undergo drastic transformations, affecting global climate and altering weather patterns in unpredictable ways. Despite the extreme conditions, Antarctica is home to vibrant wildlife, including penguins, seals, whales, and seabirds. The ice sheet provides essential habitats and breeding areas, protecting many species from predators and ensuring access to food. However, Edgar Cayce predicted a dramatic transformation. Antarctica would lose its ice cover and turn into a vast green expanse, perfect for agriculture. On the other hand, Cayce foresaw a less favorable fate for Australia. He predicted that floods would cover a quarter of Australia's territory, submerging cities like Adelaide. Ironically, the arid deserts like Simpson and Gibson would transform into fertile agricultural lands. New Zealand, however, would emerge unscathed and might even expand, connecting to Australia and becoming a refuge for those displaced by global convulsions. In Europe, the predictions were equally dramatic. Cayce predicted that much of northern Europe, including Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark, would submerge, leaving only a fragmented archipelago of islands. The United Kingdom would also suffer, with vast areas from Scotland to the English Channel succumbing to rising sea levels. Although some highland areas, such as London and Birmingham, might remain intact, many regions would not escape the devastating changes. Ireland would be almost entirely swallowed by the ocean, leaving only the highest peaks above the waterline. For ocean enthusiasts, Cayce almost predicted an expansion of the terrestrial waters. A new sea would emerge from the merging of the Black and Baltic Seas, cutting Russia off from continental Europe and extending into Siberia. This would position Russia as Europe's granary, a fertile agricultural power. Extended lifespan. We know that humans are now living longer than at the time of Edgar Cayce, but his readings seem to indicate that a healthy human lifespan would extend years beyond that which we are currently living. He once said, "Now, we find there are many changes in the body since we have had this, many for good. Many of the organs and the conditions show the changes as come about by the natural or so-called natural conditions and changes as the body succumbs to the effects of age or usage in the system. Much of this may be overcome. Man should live much longer than has been ordinarily given, and will. While we have seen improvements in healthcare that have increased lifespans compared to Cayce's time, living for centuries remains a drastic idea. It would mean not just adding years to life, but also maintaining good health over extended periods. Cayce's vision implies that future generations might enjoy a longer and better quality of life in their later years. This could lead to changes in how societies are structured, including retirement ages and healthcare systems. The idea challenges us to think about aging not as a process of decline, but as an opportunity for continued growth and contribution to society. While Cayce's specific timeframe and ways for achieving these longer lifespans remain uncertain and speculative, his vision encourages us to consider the possibilities of future medical advancements and their potential impact on human longevity. It makes us imagine a future where aging is viewed differently, with new opportunities and challenges for individuals and society as a whole. The rise of the legend. Few clairvoyants enjoyed the renown of Edgar Cayce, America's sleeping prophet. During his lifetime, Cayce gave more than 14,000 documented readings to a wide range of people, including celebrities like Harry Houdini, Thomas Edison, Woodrow Wilson, and Marilyn Monroe. These readings covered a wide variety of topics, including personal matters and health conditions. He also foretold events, from Atlantis' rediscovery to the outbreak of World War II. Yet, he earned his most famous moniker, the Sleeping Prophet, because of his purported ability to fall asleep atop books, awakening with full retention of the facts and illustrations recorded therein. Later, this skill transformed into the ability to diagnose and recommend treatments for illnesses while in a trance-like sleeping state. Cayce himself had no formal medical training. Here's what we know about Cayce's preternatural talents, surprising predictions, and fascinating medical diagnoses. Edgar Cayce remains a controversial figure, and with good reason. Stories surrounding his early life prove sensational and hard to believe. Yet, they provide the foundational elements for this fascinating turn-of-the-century American figure's rise to fame. Among his earliest exploits is playing with the little folk and communing with his dead grandfather. He considered these entities incorporeal, claiming he could look right through them if he focused hard enough. In 1889, 12-year-old Cayce recounted a visit from a winged woman who promised to answer his prayers. With all of these supernatural beings running around, it's little wonder Cayce had difficulty concentrating on his schoolwork. The day after he first met the lady with the wings, he received an unsatisfactory report from his teacher about poor spelling. Cayce's father tested him for spelling, knocking his adolescent son out of his chair in frustration. At this moment, Cayce recalled hearing the winged lady's voice. She commanded him to fall asleep a little while so they could help him. After pleading with his dad for a quick nap, he placed his head on the spelling book and snoozed. When his father woke Cayce up, he had full recollection of the volume tucked beneath his head. His father was stunned to find his son had every page of the book memorized. Cayce repeated the process with other school books. By 1892, his teacher pronounced him the best student in class. When she questioned him about how he'd turned around his school grades, he mentioned sleeping atop books. Each time he did this, he woke to full recollection of their contents. The legend of the sleeping prophet was born. Over time, his ability to absorb books during slumber was eclipsed by another talent: his ability to provide people with full medical diagnoses in his sleep. Acting as a clairvoyant doctor began with self-diagnosis. After getting hit in the spine with a ball during a school game, Cayce acted strangely. His parents put him to bed. To their astonishment, he began talking in his sleep, diagnosing his condition and describing how to cure it. After following their sleeping son's instructions, Cayce received healing. Soon, newspapers billed Cayce as the illiterate man who becomes a doctor when hypnotized. They described how Cayce, whom they described as a psychic diagnostician, would take off his coat, collar, and tie before reclining. He would then close his eyes and sigh deeply. Moments later, his eyes would open, filled with a dreamy quality as if in a trance, and he would start reciting diagnoses, cures, and even predictions. During his lifetime, he gave more than 14,000 readings covering a wide range of topics. There are hundreds of people throughout the United States who will testify at the drop of a hat to the accuracy of his diagnoses and the efficacy of his suggestions for treatment. Whether these information amounted to much more than anecdotal evidence remains up for debate. But Cayce's health recommendations from the 1920s and 30s do hold up to today's standards. His tips for leading a long and healthy life included getting a good night's sleep, cooking with olive oil, exercising, and drinking plenty of water. Besides his penchant for sleep-talking medical diagnoses, Cayce also made fascinating prophecies. While some appear to have proven accurate, others remain up for interpretation. Among those predictions attributed to him are foretelling the stock market crash of 1929 on two separate occasions, the first in February 1925, and then 6 months before the event, in March 1929. In 1935, he predicted how World War II would unfold, describing an unprecedented alliance between the Germans, Austrians, and Japanese. It's worth noting that this alliance would not come to light until the Tripartite Pact signing on September 27, 1940. Cayce also predicted the whole world will be set on fire by the militaristic groups. Other strange foretellings from the sleeping prophet include the use of blood as a diagnostic tool, the discovery of the La Niña and El Niño effects, and the convergence of communications companies in a cooperative and structured manner. He also spoke at length about the Dead Sea Scrolls and the people who created them, the Essenes. Yet, the Dead Sea Scrolls weren't discovered until 1947, 2 years after Cayce's death. And it would take many more years before details about the lives of the Essenes would begin to emerge. Cayce also discussed the lost city of Atlantis, predicting its rediscovery near Bimini in 1968 or 1969. In 1968, archaeologists discovered an underwater rock formation off the coast of the Bahamian island of North Bimini. The formation sits 18 feet below the surface. Some hypothesize it marks the submerged city's entrance. Although debate still rages about whether the Bimini Road is naturally occurring or human-made, its discovery lends additional credence to America's favorite clairvoyant, the Awakeness Year. The year 2025, according to Cayce, marks a pivotal moment in human history. It's described as an epoch where a collective awakening occurs the world. He believed that by 2025, humanity would experience a significant spiritual awakening, leading to a deeper connection with our inner selves and a greater awareness of our interconnectedness with all living beings. This prediction resonates with the increasing interest in mindfulness, meditation, and holistic well-being practices in our modern society. As scientific and technological advancements have dominated our collective focus, many have found themselves feeling increasingly disconnected from a sense of meaning and purpose in their lives. That is what Edgar Cayce saw long ago, and he believed that 2025 is the perfect time for everyone to awaken. We all need to seek out ways to reconnect with their inner selves and find greater fulfillment in life. Edgar Cayce also spoke about the awakening that people must experience after leaving this world. He told, "After death, we may enter a region that is void of love, life, and light, void of everything. For some, this region is approximately their wish come true. Here, they are truly alone with themselves. For some souls, this is a pain that is unbearable. In the absence of truth, love, gentleness, and kindness, some souls fill the void with an irrational and unbelievable amount of pain and fear. It is so dark in the realm of outer darkness that the darkness hurts, and panic grips them without knowing why. There are various degrees of darkness to this realm, and it is darker and denser at the center than at its outer fringes. The closer we are to the outer edges, the more interaction there is with others in the realm. The closer to the center, the darker and more painful is the solitude. Those who find themselves in outer darkness cannot travel across this dimension. They must grow through the levels of this realm. After death, one may find themselves in a particular degree of darkness that most closely corresponds to the degree of the absence of love in one's life. Outer darkness is not a punishment. It is a region which operates lawfully for the benefit of those who are there. This region is not a realm which was created for any soul to experience, but one which came about as a consequence of the negative activity of souls in creation. So great has been the desire for self, so monumental across time and space has been the selfishness of some of God's creatures, that this realm is the creation or manifestation of their own collective activities. Outer darkness and the reality with which it is associated were created and are held in place by collective self-interest. Being spiritually awakened means that an individual has had a profound shift in their understanding of themselves and the world around them. This awakening often comes after a period of feeling disconnected, lost, or unfulfilled in life. Interestingly, some individuals report experiencing physical symptoms, such as a fever, during their spiritual awakening, signifying a kind of intense inner burning away of old beliefs and patterns. Spiritual awakening can happen suddenly or gradually, and it often involves a change in perception, a deepening of self-awareness, and a newfound sense of connection to a higher power, even amidst internal conflict. Spiritual awakening can take many forms and can be experienced in different ways by different people. Some common signs and symptoms of spiritual awakening can include a greater sense of empathy, compassion, and love towards others, an increased ability to live in the present moment, a deeper connection to nature and the universe, a heightened awareness of synchronicities and signs, and a sense of inner peace and contentment. Ultimately, being spiritually awakened means that an individual has come to a new level of understanding and awareness about themselves and the natural world. It's through this ascension process that you realize your potential and find the ability to change your life profoundly. In other words, they've had a spiritual ascension. Now, it's important to understand the difference between awakening and ascension. At the same time, spiritual awakening refers to the internal shift in consciousness that an individual experiences, leading to a profound change in their understanding of themselves and the world. Ascension, specifically 5D ascension, signifies an evolution beyond the physical reality into a realm of higher spiritual enlightenment and awareness. This spiritual ascension, often referred to as 5D ascension, signifies a shift from the three-dimensional physical reality to a five-dimensional realm of spiritual enlightenment and awareness. It often involves a newfound sense of purpose and direction in life, as well as a deepening of one's spiritual practices and beliefs. And if you have these signs, might be you are experiencing a spiritual awakening. One of the first signs of spiritual awakening is heightened intuition. Intuition is often described as an inner knowing, a subtle voice or feeling that guides us without conscious reasoning. Imagine moments when you suddenly just know the right path to take, or when you understand something without needing to analyze it. These instances become more frequent and pronounced. You might make decisions based on a feeling or a hunch, which often are remarkably accurate and beneficial. This heightened intuition keeps you in tune with your inner voice, which speaks from your true self, free from overthinking and external influences. The noise of everyday life dims, allowing you to hear the wisdom inside you all along. As you experience this shift, your intuition becomes a source of creativity and inspiration. You may discover new solutions to problems or feel inspired to take paths you hadn't considered before. Trusting this inner guidance can be empowering, leading to a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. Increased empathy and compassion is the second sign. You may gain a deeper empathy and compassion as you journey through a spiritual awakening. Suddenly, the boundaries between your emotions and those of others might seem blurred, allowing you to feel what they feel with a heightened sense of understanding and sensitivity. You might genuinely experience the ebbs and flows of emotions that others are going through. This increased empathy can extend to all living beings, people, animals, and the environment. You become more at one with the subtle expressions of nature and the silent voices of animals, sensing their unspoken stories and needs. Alongside empathy, your compassion also grows. This might manifest in small acts of kindness, like offering a listening ear to a friend or helping a stranger in need. Or it could inspire more significant changes in your life, such as volunteering for causes you care about or making lifestyle choices that are more considerate of the planet and its population. This increase in empathy and compassion is a sign of your heart opening and your consciousness expanding. You start to see the interconnectedness of all life, recognizing that the well-being of others directly impacts your own. As enriching as this heightened empathy and compassion can be, looking after yourself is important. Being deeply attuned to the emotions of others can feel overwhelming at times. Setting healthy emotional boundaries helps you maintain your emotional well-being. The next sign that you need to focus on is desire for meaningful connections. A key aspect of experiencing a spiritual awakening is the desire for deeper, more meaningful connections in your life. This shift often begins as a growing dissatisfaction with superficial interactions and a hunger for relationships that offer genuine depth and authenticity. You may find yourself longing for conversations beyond the mundane, seeking to connect on a level that nourishes your soul and aligns with your newfound understanding of the world. As you embark on this journey, the nature of your relationships may begin to change. You might gravitate towards people who share your values and perspectives or challenge you to grow and think in new ways. You might seek out those who understand and respect your journey in your friendships, offering support and wisdom. In romantic relationships, you may desire a partner who supports and participates in your spiritual growth. Even in professional settings, you might find yourself drawn to work that feels more aligned with your values and allows for authentic expression. This shift can also mean letting go of relationships that no longer serve your growth. Recognizing that some connections might hinder your journey is an essential part of this process. It's about finding balance and ensuring that your social circle reflects and supports your spiritual path. Changing priorities is also a special sign. During a spiritual awakening, one of the most noticeable changes is your priorities and values. You might find yourself reassessing what truly matters to you, leading to a significant shift in how you view and interact with the world. You'll begin to value personal growth, meaningful relationships, and enriching experiences over material possessions. This realization can be liberating, freeing you from pursuing material gains and allowing you to focus on what genuinely enriches your life. As personal growth climbs higher on your list of priorities, you might invest more time and energy in activities that nurture your mind, body, and spirit. This could include meditation, yoga, reading, or creative hobbies. The joy in these activities often comes from the inner peace and self-discovery they bring. Relationships also take on a new significance. You value deeper connections with others that are based on mutual respect, understanding, and support. These relationships provide a sense of belonging and offer a space for mutual growth and sharing life experiences. Experiences themselves become more valuable than possessions. Travel, learning new skills, or spending quality time with loved ones might become more important. These experiences enrich your life in ways that material items cannot, providing lasting memories and a sense of fulfillment deeply rooted in living a meaningful life. Let's continue with feeling a sense of unity. A symptom often experienced during a spiritual awakening is a deep-seated feeling of unity or oneness. It connects to a larger, universal energy, being in harmony with all forms of life. You might experience moments where you feel deeply in tune with nature, sensing a sacred kinship with the trees, the sky, the ocean, and every living creature. In your interactions with people, you may recognize that everyone, regardless of their background or life story, shares the same fundamental desires for love, security, and happiness. This realization can foster empathy and compassion as you begin to see reflections of yourself in others. Judgments and barriers fade, replaced by an understanding of the universal human experience. You might also become more aware of how your actions impact the world. This awareness can lead to more mindful, conscious living, where your choices are guided by a desire to contribute positively to the collective well-being. Last but not least, it's experiencing moments of bliss. A spiritual awakening often brings with it unexpected moments of bliss and joy. These experiences can feel like bursts of pure happiness from deep within and often occur without any apparent external cause. These moments of bliss can catch you by surprise. You might be engaged in a mundane task or sitting quietly when suddenly overwhelmed by immense peace and happiness. This isn't the kind of joy that comes from external rewards or achievements. It feels more intrinsic, as if you're tapping into a deep well of contentment within you. This bliss is often accompanied by feeling connected to something greater than yourself. It's as if, in that moment, you're experiencing a deep truth about life and your place in the universe. These experiences can be deeply moving and transformative, offering a glimpse into being free from worry, stress, or negativity. These experiences can be incredibly rejuvenating. In the aftermath of such bliss, you might feel more energized, optimistic, and at peace with yourself and the world around you. It's a reminder of the potential for joy that resides within us all, waiting to be uncovered.
Baga said that she could see in her mind's eye. And when she would look at a person, she said that she could see their whole life in its totality, complete, from birth through their life until death, as if she were watching a movie.
Although born in different eras, the renowned prophets of the century have consistently amazed people with their eerily accurate predictions. They have issued clear warnings about profound changes and global crises in 2025. The prophecies for 2025 depict a world on the brink of significant changes, filled with both challenges and opportunities. And now, join us as we reveal these 10 prophecies that are expected to happen soon and deserve your attention. Number 1. World Major Challenges, starting with Baba Vanga's prediction. She predicted that by 2025, a major conflict in Europe could lead to widespread devastation. The apocalypse is anticipated to begin in 2025, despite the fact that humanity will not be completely eradicated until 5079, as stated in the timeline of her predictions. Besides, Baba Vanga went on to state that a conflict in Europe would devastate the continent's population by 2025. The prophecy is worrying the people, particularly in light of the ongoing conflicts and tensions in geopolitics. Following Vanga, this is the timeline to the end of humanity. In 2025, the inciting incident that kicks off the ultimate end of humanity will be an unspecified conflict in Europe, which will devastate the continent's population. Then, when we come to 2028, humanity needs more energy. To do this, they will manage to explore Venus to find new energy sources. This may be one of the most unbelievable parts of this timeline, since Venus is essentially an inhospitable hellscape with an atmosphere so acidic that nothing could survive, and no space probe has ever managed to survive more than a couple of hours. In 2033, climate change is very dangerous, and that shouldn't be understated. However, Baba Vanga supposedly predicted that at this point, the polar ice caps would melt and sea levels would rise drastically worldwide. Ever see the old episode of The Simpsons where Russia flips a switch and the Soviet Union suddenly out of nowhere reforms? The Berlin Wall shoots back up out of the ground, and a zombie Vladimir Lenin smashes out of his crypt, groaning about crushing capitalism? Well, it may not be like this exactly, but Baba Vanga's alleged prediction claims that at this point in 2076, communism will not just be back, but will take over the entire world. In 2130, skipping ahead to the next century, humanity will, at this point, supposedly make contact with aliens. What could go wrong? Climate change in 2170 is going to get worse, and at this point, a drought is supposedly going to spread across the world. In 3005, perhaps it's due to human colonization, or perhaps it's aliens. Regardless, at this point, there will supposedly already have been some kind of civilization on Mars, and they will fight a war with Earth. In 3797, at this point, due to any number of reasons, the Earth will supposedly no longer be able to support life. Humans will allegedly leave their homeworld at this point and move on to parts unknown. This is it. The end gonna happen in 5079, the grand finale. And of course, with as vague of a prediction as this is, if this was even a real prediction at all, we know nothing about it. All we know is that the world will end. Yes, the world will supposedly already be uninhabitable by this point. So what this refers to is honestly anyone's guess. Does it go out with a bang or with a whimper? Is there a great epic battle or a rather anticlimactic incident? Keep in mind that this is all patently ridiculous. Yes, Baba Vanga was a real person, and yes, she has amassed quite a following and legend around her. However, since no one wrote down her predictions, no one knows if any prediction attributed to her these days is genuine. And even if it was, no one knows if the prediction would be true. Number 2, environmental catastrophes. Another unsettling prediction for 2025 involves severe environmental disasters that could significantly impact lives around the globe. In Nostradamus' vast collection of prophecies, one of the most feared is the one predicting a series of natural disasters that will shake the world in 2025. According to his writings, these catastrophic events will have a devastating impact on multiple regions, affecting both powerful nations and small communities. Nostradamus describes earthquakes, floods, and storms that will surpass anything humanity has ever experienced before, suggesting that the world is on the brink of an unprecedented environmental crisis. Scholars of Nostradamus have pointed out that his predictions of natural disasters often align with current weather patterns, making this prophecy even more unsettling in a world where climate change is already wreaking havoc. The idea that even more severe natural disasters are looming no longer seems far-fetched. Scientists have repeatedly warned that events like global warming, deforestation, and pollution are exacerbating the frequency and intensity of natural disasters, and Nostradamus' prophecy seems to reflect these contemporary concerns. One of the most common interpretations of this prophecy is that Nostradamus was warning about the cumulative effects of climate change. References to fire in the sky and overflowing rivers could be interpreted as allusions to wildfires and extreme storms, both phenomena that are already occurring more frequently due to climate change. Additionally, the mention of the earth shaking may refer to an increase in seismic activity, something that some experts believe could be related to the extraction of natural resources and other human activities that affect soil stability. It is important to note that while Nostradamus' prophecies are often interpreted symbolically, the connection between his visions and current natural disasters has led to renewed interest in his writings. Some believe that the natural disasters predicted for 2025 will serve as a wake-up call for humanity, a warning that we must change our behavior before it is too late. On the other hand, skeptics argue that Nostradamus' predictions are too vague and can be interpreted in many different ways. Number 3, the 1,000 human brain. By 2025, we might see computers that can process information at speeds comparable to the human brain for just $1,000. Elon Musk has expressed an extremely optimistic attitude toward Neuralink. The roadmap is achieve millions of electrodes connecting to billions of neurons for a whole brain interface that costs about $1,000–$2,000 each, with implant surgery only taking 10 minutes. The first-generation Neuralink device has 1,000 electrodes, and 100 electrodes are reading at about 10 bits per second per electrode. The second-generation Neuralink device should have 3,000 electrodes, and 1,500 electrodes will be reading. Future Neuralinks will have 1,000,000 or more electrodes. Neuralink will be able to fix any brain-related problem that involves signals in and out. This means curing blindness, where the optic nerve is damaged by directly stimulating the visual cortex. It could cure epilepsy and paralysis caused by nerve or spinal cord damage. There are about 3,000 neurosurgeons in the USA. Neuralink needs to scale the surgery with automation to ultimately provide the service to tens of millions and then billions of people. The neurosurgeons would shift overseeing the operating machines. This is similar to eye surgeons overseeing the LASIK laser machines. In high volume might be reach millions, the Neuralink device will drop to $5,000, $1,000. In really high volume, tens or hundreds of millions per year, the Neuralink device will drop to about $1,000 each. These events are not distant in the future. They could very well become a reality in the near future, possibly as soon as 2025. Number 4. Trillion sensor economy. In 2025, we will step into a world where a staggering number of devices, over 100 billion, will be interconnected, creating what's known as a trillion sensor economy. Think about your smartphone, smart fridge, and even smart light bulbs. Now imagine them all talking to each other and sharing information in real time. Each of these devices will have multiple sensors that collect data about everything from your daily habits to the weather outside. For example, if you have smart heating in your home, it can learn when you're usually home and adjust the temperature automatically, saving energy and money. By 2025, there will be more than 100 billion connected devices, each with a dozen sensors or more. AI technology and 5G connectivity will further spur this growth, and emerging from this innovation will be torrents of data. You'll need to know how to harness and utilize to competitive advantage. The coming trillion sensor economy will belong to the companies who've planned and prepared for it. One of the most significant side effects of a trillion sensor economy will be a massive increase in data collection. IoT gateways and sensors will generate data that can be collected and analyzed at the edge of the network or in the cloud. And in order to generate real-time analytics based on data collected by gateways and sensors, companies will need a low-latency infrastructure and data visualization capability in place. In Baba Vanga's predictions, thanks to advances in organ transplant technology, humans will live to be more than 100 years old. She also anticipated that the darkness would be gone and another region of Earth would be illuminated by artificial sunlight. She foresees a major breakthrough in the realm of quantum computing, bringing an unprecedented technological revolution. This advancement is set to shake up various sectors, from finance and healthcare to cybersecurity, all thanks to the mind-blowing capabilities of quantum computers. The rapid advance of technology is transforming civilization in ways no one expected, in ways that are exciting and scary, ways we are only beginning to understand. Tech seems on the verge of recreating human beings into something new, something altered, bionic, computerized, robotic, superhuman. The internet's spider web has descended and covered nearly all elements of civilization. The smartphone, smartwatch, and smart home are growing into the smart world. So, are these things linked to the Bible prophecy? Some readers may recall the words given to the prophet Daniel more than 25 centuries ago in Daniel 12:4, that at the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Not until recent history have we seen a time when millions of people rapidly fly all over the globe, reaching destinations in hours that in previous centuries took months or even years. Until year 1900, human knowledge approximately doubled every century. However, by 1950, human knowledge doubled every 25 years. In 2000, human knowledge would double every year. Now, our knowledge is almost doubling every day. This should certainly make us pay attention to how quickly our world is changing, and with it, how previously puzzling Bible prophecies might now be fulfilled. In Matthew 24, Jesus Christ's disciples asked him what would signal his return. What started with the movable type printing press in 1439 eventually matured into the internet and smartphones, instant fingertip access to anything at any time. Christ's words in Matthew 24:14 have never made more sense than in this era. The internet in everyone's pockets means the potential now exists, as never before, for the true gospel of God's coming kingdom to be preached, truly, to all nations. In Revelation 13:15-17, verses show the rise in the last days of a world-ruling superpower centered in Europe called the Beast. God's word shows it will exercise unprecedented control over people, like the vast Roman Empire but bigger and modern, with religion playing a major role. Revelation shows how the religious leader of this end-time superpower will honor the civil aspect of this power and will punish and kill those who refuse to worship the beast. Note how those who refuse to be part of this satanic system are cut off from buying or selling. Their economic tap is turned off. Then think of our soon-coming cashless society. Every transaction is rapidly becoming electronic. It will not be technically difficult for people to no longer be able to buy and sell if they do not fall in line with the beast power. Technology may not be the actual mark of the beast, but it will almost certainly be used to enforce the mark. The stage is set for God to reach vast numbers with the true gospel, and the context of this prophecy is just before Christ's second coming. Baga predicted that communication technologies would continue to evolve, making it easier for people to connect across vast distances. Innovations in this field could lead to faster, more reliable internet connections and new ways of interacting with each other, further shrinking the global village. Baga's technological advancements predicted for 2024 are expected to impact daily life profoundly. From healthcare to communication, these innovations could improve efficiency, convenience, and overall quality of life. As we embrace these changes, it is important to consider the benefits and potential challenges they may bring. Also with that, humans face dangerous cyber attacks. She warns of a surge in cyber attacks for 2024. These aren't your run-of-the-mill hackers. They're leveling up in sophistication, targeting critical infrastructure like power grids and water treatment facilities. These attacks could lead to widespread disruptions and chaos, posing a serious national security threat. Number 5. Economic fluctuation. Another prediction attributed to Nostradamus is the onset of a major economic crisis. His quatrain that states, "The great wealth of a nation will fall," has been interpreted as a warning of a financial collapse affecting major global economies in 2025. This prophecy suggests a possible financial meltdown beginning in Europe, particularly impacting countries like Italy and Greece, whose economies are already vulnerable. This economic collapse is also projected to affect the Americas. Some interpret Nostradamus's words as referring to a possible recession in the United States and hyperinflation in countries like Argentina, which could lead to social unrest and increased unemployment. While these situations are concerning, some believe Nostradamus's visions merely reflect the economic anxieties of any era, even if current interpretations align with contemporary fears. Like Nostradamus, Baga allegedly foresaw an economic crisis that would impact many parts of the world in 2025. According to some accounts, she predicted a financial collapse that would disrupt the global economy and plunge millions into poverty. This crisis is expected to manifest as hyperinflation in Latin American countries, particularly Argentina, and cause employment and stability issues in developed economies worldwide. Baga also warned of increasing inequality and the impact of poverty on different societies, which could spark social unrest and protests demanding change. Number 6. Extraterrestrial encounters. While the idea of an alien attack might seem like something out of science fiction, it is not without precedent. In the past, various cultures have reported encounters with extraterrestrial beings, and some have even claimed to have been abducted by aliens. However, it is important to note that there is currently no scientific evidence to support the existence of aliens or the possibility of an alien attack. While the likelihood of an alien attack is unknown, the idea of contact with extraterrestrial life raises a number of questions about our place in the universe and the possibility of other intelligent life. It could also have significant effects on our society and culture, potentially leading to new scientific discoveries and even religious or philosophical changes. While there is currently no scientific evidence to support the existence of extraterrestrial life, the search for such life is an active area of research. Scientists have discovered thousands of exoplanets, or planets, that orbit stars other than our Sun, and some of these planets are located in the habitable zone, which could potentially support life. Additionally, several organizations, such as the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, are actively searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. Number 7. Dangerous bird virus. Birds have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, such as avian flu, which can be transmitted to humans. It is possible that a new virus could emerge that would have a significant impact on bird populations. The potential consequences of such an event would depend on the severity of the virus and the ability of humans to contain its spread. As what Baga predicted, a dangerous virus affecting bird populations could potentially have significant ecological and economic consequences. It could disrupt food supplies as well as impact other animal populations that rely on birds for food or pollination. Additionally, it could potentially lead to the spread of the virus to humans, which could have significant health consequences. Bird populations have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, and the potential for future outbreaks is always a concern. However, the identification and monitoring of potential bird viruses is an active area of research, and scientists are working to develop new vaccines and other preventative measures to protect both birds and humans. Continue with the virus. The nightmare called COVID-19 is still present, and many people have not forgotten the terrible consequences it brought. There is a strong possibility that another nightmare is about to come to the world. Baga predicted another pandemic, this one caused by a frozen virus that will be liberated by climate change and found in Siberia. To put this in perspective, a team of researchers found 2 ice samples from the Tibetan Plateau in China that were frozen with ancient viruses, the majority of which were never before seen. The conclusions were drawn from ice cores collected in 2015, which researchers estimate to have been frozen at least 14,400 years ago. During analysis, 33 viral genetic codes were discovered in the ice. 4 of the 33 were identified by their genetic codes as belonging to virus families that generally attack bacteria. Up to 28 were novel, which means they had never been found previously. As per Baga predictions, nations are compelled to discover alternatives. Many cities will experience water shortages, which will have an impact on politics. Also, planet-invading aliens will send an asteroid to look for life on Earth with a hostile outcome. Number 8. Cure for cancer. It is predicted that new cures for diseases like Alzheimer's and cancer will be invented this year. It sounds unbelievable, but, nothing is impossible with the rapid development of world medicine. President Vladimir Putin recently said that Russian scientists are close to creating a vaccine for cancer that could soon be available to patients. He said, "We have reached a significant milestone in the development of cancer vaccines and next-generation immunomodulatory drugs. I hope that soon they will be effectively used as methods of individual therapy," he added, speaking at a Moscow forum on future technologies. However, he did not specify the types of cancer the proposed vaccines would target. Furthermore, recent developments have confirmed progress in the development of a lung cancer vaccine. The United Kingdom has allocated funding for 2 years of laboratory research and initial manufacturing of 3,000 doses for a DNA-based lung cancer vaccine, as stated in a press release from the University of Oxford, located in Oxford, England. But it cannot be denied that the world will have a positive outlook for cancer patients, and we can fully expect that a miracle will happen in 2025. Number 9. Darkness will cover very soon. We are in a period that can be described as extremely chaotic. War, conflict, famine, and natural disasters are nearly everywhere. The footsteps of evil are drawing closer to us, and by 2025, this situation is predicted to become even more horrifying and terrifying. Perhaps by then, darkness will officially engulf all of life. On January 26, 1950, Padre Pio predicted a major and as of yet still forthcoming chastisement for the world on account of its grave sins. Keep your windows well covered, do not look out, light a blessed candle, which will suffice for many days, pray the rosary, read spiritual books, make acts of spiritual communion, also acts of love, which are so pleasing to us. Pray with outstretched arms or prostrate on the ground in order that many souls may be saved. Do not go outside the house. Provide yourself with sufficient food. The powers of nature shall be moved, and a rain of fire shall make people tremble with fear. Have courage. I am in the midst of you. There are proximate signs in their probable order of occurrence during these darkness days that you need to really careful. The first sign. People start to flout of church laws, false worship, irreverence, and immodesty in church, fall in attendance at church, church closings, churches for sale. The second sign is the lack of charity towards others. Heartlessness, indifference, divisions, contentions, godlessness, and rebellion against God. They did not, do not, and will not repent. The third one. Breakdown of family life, immorality, adultery, perversion of youth in schools, immodest fashions, people concerned only with eating, drinking, dancing, and other pleasures, but gradually forget the chaste lifestyle as taught by God. We continue with the fourth sign. Civil commotions, contempt for authority, downfall of governments, confusion in high places, corruption, coup d'etat, civil war, revolution. This is exactly the moment when the whole world becomes uncontrollably chaotic. Disunity will create loopholes for nefarious people to rise. At that time, the Antichrist would reveal his power and rule the entire world. Humanity will be plunged into the darkness of lack of faith. The fifth sign. Floods and droughts, crop failures, unusual weather, tornadoes, earthquakes, tidal waves, famines, epidemics, and unknown diseases might appear as new strains of viruses. The Bible also mentions these signs. Once nature gets angry, it is also the time when God is showing us that his day is coming very close. Satan will triumph, but after 3 nights, the earthquake and fire will cease. On the following day, the sun will shine again. Angels will descend from heaven and will spread the spirit of peace over the earth. A feeling of immeasurable gratitude will take possession of those who survive this terrible ordeal, the impending punishment with which God has visited the earth since creation. Not only Saint Pio, but also an Italian blessed Anna Maria Taigi. She is said to have stated 3 days of darkness. She declared, "There shall come over the whole earth an intense darkness lasting 3 days and 3 nights. Nothing can be seen, and the air will be laden with pestilence, which will claim mainly, but not only, the enemies of religion. It will be impossible to use any man-made lighting during this darkness, except blessed candles. He who out of curiosity opens his window to look out or leaves his home will fall dead on the spot. During these 3 days, people should remain in their homes, pray the rosary, and beg God for mercy. All the enemies of the church, whether known or unknown, will perish over the whole earth during that universal darkness, with the exception of a few whom God will soon convert. The air shall be infected by demons who will appear under all sorts of hideous forms. Number 10. Antichrist appearance. The blind prophet Baba Vanga continued to warn the world about the important character might change the whole world, that is Antichrist. When you watch a TV show or music competition, it's amazing to see how people can rise up from poverty and then be launched into worldwide popularity in a matter of months. So it will be with the Antichrist. He will have an inconspicuous beginning and win the hearts of humanity. He will be highly intelligent. He will be stronger than most. He will be a gifted communicator. He will be politically savvy. While he will be charming, his corrupt character will be revealed after 3.5 years into the tribulation. The world will see how this man is now hell-bent on destroying the Christian faith and persecuting the Jews. He is described as a blasphemer, a hater of God's law. He will be consumed by his selfish ambitions. He will try to change biblical prophecies by twisting the scriptures. He will ultimately pretend to be God and demand to be worshipped. He will come claiming he is the one, the long-awaited one. He will be the Messiah of the new age, who will be secretly led by Satan, who will see within him his former glory, and will view him as the rightful vessel to re-achieve his ancient status and then some. He will usher in a new golden age of false peace and prosperity, and will soon thereafter be proclaimed as the God of this new age. He will craftily make war with the saints and subdue them for a time while keeping up this false personage. He might be political antichrists. Just as there are religious antichrists, there also are political antichrists. Communism is a good example. Communism is an antichrist in that it seeks to replace Christ and his kingdom as Earth's rightful ruler and mankind's only hope. Thus, we are told that it is the messianic character of communism that gives it dynamic power to command allegiance. Its leaders, such as Lenin and Stalin, have been not only idolized, but deified, termed saviors, and the ones chosen by God to lead their people. What is true of communism's being the Antichrist is also true of the United Nations. It is being given a messianic role to play by the clergy of Christendom as the world's savior, its only hope and the only light, whereas the Bible plainly shows that Jesus Christ and God's kingdom is our only hope. That's why many eyes keep watching these two popular men of the world, Donald Trump and Elon Musk's. Some might think that Trump and Elon could be the figures mentioned in the Bible who would appear as adversaries of God. However, if you hear about their love and faith in God, you may very well change your mind. We all know that Trump has a strong belief in God. Trump claims to have a strong relationship with God and the evangelical Christian community. He goes to church regularly, especially on important Christian holidays like Christmas and Easter and Sundays. He believes in doing the right things so he doesn't have to ask for forgiveness. When he's in church, he takes part in the ritual of communion with wine and a cracker as a way of seeking forgiveness and feeling cleansed. When received the question, "You have said you never felt the need to ask for God's forgiveness, and yet repentance for one's sins is a precondition to salvation," Trump replied, "I will be asking for forgiveness, but hopefully I won't have to be asking for much forgiveness." When asked who he says Jesus is, he replied, "Jesus to me is somebody I can think about for security and confidence. Somebody I can revere in terms of bravery and in terms of courage, and because I consider the Christian religion so important, somebody I can totally rely on in my own mind." He also said that America needs a savior right now, but that's not him, of course, Trump said. The life and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ forever changed the world. He said it is impossible to think of the history and life of America without the influence of his example and of his teachings. Trump added that none of America's accomplishments would have been possible without Jesus Christ and his followers and his church. Elon Musk is a physicist genius whose scent for a good idea or two has taken him a long way. But what makes people most curious about this man is his faith. In an interview, a host asked Musk if he accepted Jesus as his Lord and Savior. "Do you wonder about his answer?" This is what Elon Musk said. I mean, LTs just say that I agree with the principles that Jesus advocated, and there is great wisdom in the teachings of Jesus, and I agree with those teachings. And things like turn the other cheek are very important, as opposed to an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. So, forgiveness is important. Treating people as you would wish to be treated. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Very important. After the end of his answer, Musk made it clear that he had actually been baptized in the Anglican Church as a child, and he was taught the parables and principles of Jesus Christ. That's assumedly how he knew turn the other cheek, the golden rule, and God's second greatest commandment. He also believed that he would be saved. This shows that he has a thoughtful interest in the person and teachings of Jesus. But you know what? Before giving such an answer, Elon Musk stated that he is not someone who lives by faith. He recalled asking questions about the miracles and mysteries as a child, but never being answered in an understanding manner. Musk recalled attending Sunday school at the local church where his mother was a teacher. Musk immediately started questioning stories from the Bible. Musk also said the story of Jesus feeding the crowd with bread and fish could not happen, as things can't just materialize out of nothing. The billionaire also struggled with the concept of communion. The billionaire took what he knew from religion and thought there was no creator or a deity, and instead, it was science that could explain things. This is what extends the gap between Musk and God. Nevertheless, Musk retained some valuable teachings from the Gospels, and it's certainly a strong foundation upon which to rebuild one's faith should he choose to return to Christianity.